I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
Jumpy and Ghosty.
Epica.
Cry for the Moon. We actually just got done reacting to, Mike R. Kelly. No! I was trying not to say that. That's why there was so much hesitation. So it's... What's is it L?
I see that the song very much impacted you.
No, the song did. It's just his name that I'm still like, wait. It's J. Kelly. Mike J. Kelly. Anyway, he had some really cool music, but we were saying
call the guy Mike J.
But I forgot the middle piece. I remember Mike and I remember Kelly. Maybe I should just say Mike Kelly. Anyway, so I you guys should watch that reaction. It was pretty good. The music was really new and you've never heard it before. So anyway, we were listening to that. We were like, it really needed some female vocals. So now we're gonna listen to some Epica. So we'll get some female vocals on and see how it feels.
Yeah. This was requested by a fan. We've got a $75 partner tier where you can get your song bumped to the head of the line. We also have the alliances, which is my favorite bit in the village. You get to hang out with people, you get to make your case, all the rest of it, and then your song can get into the head of the line with the alliance. Whose idea was the alliance, by the way?
That was you. And like 10 minutes after you came up with that, we went for a walk and I argued with you the whole way because I said it was a bad idea. How could you come up with this? Oh, this is going to create so much work. It's been fine. You were right. I was wrong. I've admitted it before.
I said they're gonna run it. Wow, those Till Me Die shirts. Everybody likes those shirts. Those shirts are badass. Well, did we correct them though? Are they?
I don't think
that
they've corrected. Teespring has not been getting back to me.
Well, people are buying them shirts, girl.
Well, they're gonna have to make that right for all those people, or I gotta try to figure out if I can cancel that.
All right. Anyway, it's a separate issue. But anyway, so we love the alliances.
If you want a Till Me Dry shirt, if you get the all-over print, those print out awesome, and so do the leggings.
The all-over print for the Till We Die is a really, really, really good shirt. Really good quality. We have the best shirts. Look, the $75 partner tier gets you bumped to the headline, but I really encourage you to also go check out the alliances because those are really, really fun.
That starts at $1 a month, so.
Just $1 into the gate. Come on, come on.
Check out the links in the description of this video.
For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. After we do this video, I'm going to shoot a Middle America episode. It's been too long. There's so many things to talk about. Mr. Trump.
Ready?
All right, let's do it.
Go.
It's a live video?
stolen. Affirming your wages empty, extinguish shower. Nonsense immunity, morbid abuse. Forward, forth, and done. Worthy of all. Worthy efficacy of all. Awful pain.
Whoa.
Yikes.
This is a Christian's react to.
I mean,
What?
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
What?
don't try to convince me the message is from God. You accuse us of sins committed by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I forgot what it was, but they were, I was talking about, there was this gay teacher, and he had his team was in a debate. He was leading this debate team. That's what it was. And basically, he was giving his team a pep talk. So he sent this mass text out to his whole team, and he said, "Look, everybody's got their own struggles. We got to put it behind us and focus on what we got to do tomorrow." And he's like, you know, I know you guys have struggles. I have struggles too. Look, I'm a gay guy in Texas. You know, you can just put two and two together. I mean, you know, I've had to overcome adversity, and you're gonna be okay. So put that shit behind you and let's get to work. You know, study your parts and get ready for jihad tomorrow. And then he gets called into the office. Now this dude's in Texas. He gets called into the office. Now, for full disclosure, I read the whole story. Basically, he also had one of his students babysitting him and babysitting for his kids and all the rest of it. So there's some conflict of interest there. Not necessarily totally appropriate. I get that side of it.
Wait, why isn't that appropriate?
Well, I mean, you're a teacher and you're paying your students, who you also grade, to watch your kids. It's just generally a conflict of interest issue. You don't have people that are that you're educating also babysitting your kids. But so all I'm saying is I'm trying to be as fair as possible to the school district. Okay, maybe that was inappropriate, but he didn't get called into the office until he sent that text to everybody about him being gay. They were like, "Are you talking to these kids about your personal life?" And he was like, "Well, No, but yeah, I guess. You know, it was just this weird. So anyway, they fired the guy, and this is a dude with a PhD. There was one teacher in my school that I remember at Truman High School that had a PhD. Like, you know, most teachers, no disrespect to teachers, but they're not at the level that this guy was. Anyway, they fired the guy. And so I was, you know, bringing up this subject about why we as Christians are constantly piling on to this group of people who make up 3 to 6% of our society, according to the CDC. Why we have this obsession with beating this group of people over their head. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
And one guy basically said to me, well, I don't want those people influencing my kids. And I was like, what are you implying? Like, what are you trying to say? And it basically came out, well, I mean, if he's a gay pervert, then who knows? He might be going after my... And like that line right there where it's like, you accuse us of sins committed by yourselves.
Yeah.
It's like, how many, like, there aren't many, LGBT teacher sex scandals that are happening.
Yeah, that's true.
There are teacher sex scandals that are happening, but it's only happening in one way.
That's true.
It's the nasty ass, and unfortunately, there's been a rash of like female sex scandals in schools. You know, like straight females are jumping on, you know, kids are 16, 17 years old. I'm sorry, it's different. It's different if a 45-year-old dude does it to a 16-year-old girl versus a 35-year-old woman doing it to a 16-year-old guy. It's different. I'm telling, it's not the same. But my point is
So I would still be very angry.
Well,
35-year-old woman was with Dorian in 2 years. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
I'm 34.
I wouldn't be happy with her, but it's just different. Men and women handle sexuality differently. I'm never gonna.
You're saying as far as how Dorian would handle that,
Well, I
instead
remember
of if we had a daughter.
I know what I was doing at 16 and 17, and you know, it's just not the same. It's just not. But that's because I have a certain type of worldview. Whatever. I don't want to stray from my point. My point is. There are teacher scandals where that's happening. I can't remember one where it was an LGBT teacher or whatever. Now, I'm sure there is somewhere around, but it's like this guy was automatically assuming that because the guy was gay, that automatically put the kids in some sort of danger. And like to me, I was so offended. I'm like, are you freaking kidding? I'm like, it's. Number one, if you want to talk about it in the public school setting, it's a heterosexual teachers jumping on these kids. Yeah. And number two, this was written in 2003. All the stuff came out about the Catholic Church probably in the last 5 years. But as Protestants, I'm like, yeah, fine, the Catholics, but Protestantism, like American evangelicalism, has a serious fucking problem with sexuality. Like, the things that they excuse marital rape, they excuse all types of crazy shit. Yeah. Wayne Grudem, I was gonna share this with you. It's actually good news in my opinion. Too little, too late, maybe. But he just came out and said that he believes that women who are being abused do have a biblical warrant for divorcing, which is a radical left turn from where he was, because he's in that entire group with Piper and them, you know, John.
Oh, yeah.
A woman should take an eye jammy or two, Piper, you know, yada, yada, yada. So that was a major, major, major step for him. And, you know, on one hand, I'm like, kudos, but on the other hand, I'm like, how many women were fucking destroyed because you know, you're trying to uphold this crazy idea that, you know, so, anyway, but that line, you know, it's like my buddy, you know, my Catholic friend says, his accusation's always the first form of confession. It's like, you accuse us of sins committed by ourselves. It's like, I don't know, man.
Plus, I think that if there was, you know, a gay man or woman that had, like, a draw toward children, I would think that they would already know that they're already on the radar so much that would be a bad play. You know what I mean? Because people are already like, oh, there's a gay teacher, blah, blah, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't happen. And if it did, I'm not saying it doesn't happen ever, but I think that it's extremely unlikely given their already current situation. And on top of that, if it did happen, I think that the news would put it out like that.
Well, certainly conservative media would put it out like that for sure. But it's beyond that, because it's like, I remember seeing this video one time, and my mom actually showed me the video, and she basically said, "This shit right here, this is bullshit." And it was basically a video from like the 60s. I'm gonna try to find it. It was like basically a video from the 60s of like the mental disease of homosexuality, and it was this guy. This guy was 35, 40 maybe, and he keeps looking at these kids in a store, and it was like, gay automatically equals pedophile, and and that guy that was saying that to me was kind of like in that age range where he would have seen that thing. And so he's talking, and he has no idea how hurtful and mean and offensive what he's saying is to me. And I'm like, are you out of here? Like, what are you trying to imply? And like, usually when you say that to people, they kind of back off and go, like, if I say, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean black people that are, you know what I mean? Like, people will go, oh, like this, he completely went over his head. Because to him, it was like, and it's like, no, like, when I'm talking about I'm talking about heterosexual evangelicals are doing this to kids. It's not. We've been swimming in a vast pool of LGBT, gay and lesbian, atheistic, agnostic, whatever whatever you want to put it, and there's not a single one of them that. Now, a couple of them have been assaulted by heterosexual religious people. That I know for a fact. But anyway, so they probably thought they were doing a song against God or the church or whatever, but and it's like, have some common sense, man. Like, and
so go ahead.
To me, it's like I can see why they're looking at the whole thing as a sham, because this is coming from your leadership. I love John Piper. He's changed my. We wouldn't have this channel without John Piper to some degree. But he's fucking dead wrong on this whole.
I could not believe that.
Women need to be, abused and they've got this certain understanding of. But what I could believe it. I'm like, of course.
I couldn't.
That's why I told the guy, I'm like, what do you mean? Of course. You're like, I'm not surprised at any of these people. How could you be surprised?
I'm not surprised.
You came out of that.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm not surprised that he thinks that way. I'm surprised that he verbalized that.
Why?
Because
Piper's one of the most genuine people on the planet.
I know. But coming right out and saying that a woman should have basically the understanding. You quoted. I'm not good at quoting people. Like,
go ahead.
Basically that, she might get slapped around a little bit or verbally abused, but she should stay in that situation to kind of like.
Yeah.
He's completely dead wrong, and I cannot believe that you can hear those words coming out of your mouth, knowing that thousands of people watch you, and knowing that quite possibly, I say that there's like no chance that he gets out of saying that without a woman dying because of what he said. Like, women stay in those. Women have to be told over and over to leave those situations. By like naturally, they a lot of times just stay in those situations. So they need the help and the support to be able to leave those situations. And instead, you're saying that she should stay there.
Yeah. He then had to do a clarification on it, but he basically says, you take an eye jammy, blah blah blah. It's just crazy stuff. And like I said, I love him. He's had a great. But my point is, like, this is the best. He's the best guy, most gentle guy in that entire.
That's what surprised me.
In that entire community, and this is the best that they could come up with. I'm like, okay, look, man. One of these days, I'm gonna just shoot a video and say everything. But this stuff where religious, and it's the same thing that happened with the so-called values voters during the second Bush nomination. That's what it was, values voters. That was a big thing. And the values voter, the big thing was the LGBT stuff, and gay marriage, and da-da-da-da. It's like, we believe in traditional family values, which of course all got blown to smithereens when Donald J. Trump got elected and will be reelected, most of which has to do with evangelicalism. And so, of course, evangelicals are so tone deaf that they don't realize how the election of Trump was extremely hurtful to a lot of LGBT people. And the reason that they don't care is because they don't know is because they don't have any LGBT friends, so they don't care. But if you've been an LGBT person in the right-wing political landscape from that whole arc of the values voters, where it was like American family values and the nuclear family and blah 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 blah. And I'm not here to judge Trump. I'm just saying, if you're looking at it from that perspective, then how could you vote for that guy? Then that means it had nothing to do with family values. You just hate gay people, or you're afraid of them.
Right.
Eternal silence cries out for justice. Like, there's a lot, and this one right here, to me, this is about the sex abuse stuff, right?
Yeah, of course.
Virginity has been stolen at very young ages, and the extinguisher loses its immunity. Morbid abuse of power in the Garden of Eden, where the apple gets a youthful face, right? Like, that's, to me, obviously, that's why I was looking at the date of when this song came out, because it came out in 2003. But of course, every decade or so, there's another Catholic Church scandal where these dudes were getting, sent to another parish and all the rest of it. And I don't like jumping on Catholics and camping out there, because I'm a big believer in, tend to your own house, and we're evangelical. So we just got done blitzing our own people. But the fact of the matter is, the Catholic Church, and look, I'm talking about like guys like JP2, John Paul II, who's kind of like this universally loved individual, and was kind of mainstreamed Catholicism and made Catholicism cool to young people. He was doing that shit to kids, man. No, he wasn't doing, like, there's no record of him doing it. When I say he was doing it, that means he was sending these bishops and all these nasty motherfuckers around to different parishes and shit, and not doing what needed to be done to take care of these kids. And neither did the guy after him, and the current guy, Bergoglio, whatever his name is, Pope Francis. Everybody loves him, and again, he's a nice guy in certain respects, and he stands up for the poor. But he was dead wrong on this one. And so,
I always feel like I'm not necessarily correct, but I feel like that if you're going to cover for those people, then how do you not see the evil of what's going on and not want justice to be exacted, except that maybe you're part of that issue as well?
Well, I think especially with the Catholic Church.
I knew you were going to disagree with that, but I don't understand an adult not stopping that and doing anything that they can to stop it, unless they too.
Well, here's my thing. One is, these dudes don't have kids because they're not married, right? And so if they've been faithful to the system, they didn't have any kids, so they don't understand what that's like. Number two, I'm sorry, but with any sort of religion, it's about there comes this tipping point where it becomes more about the institution than the actual people. And so hiding these guys and shuffling them around and all. There was that Netflix one that we saw, with the missing nun or whatever.
Yeah.
And the whatever happened to Sister So and So. I forgot the name of the documentary, but it was a really important documentary.
It was really sad, but.
And some of it was very difficult to watch, just because hearing these women described as Catholic, who killed Sister Kathy or whatever. The Keepers, that's what it was, Keepers. It's a Netflix documentary on the Keepers, and to this moment, nobody's been held accountable to my knowledge. But my point is, it's like, it's about protecting the institution and and how the institution looks on the outside, and it doesn't matter if we're building this institution on the bones of these kids that you've absolutely completely obliterated. The last one I looked at, and I like to keep abreast of stuff and all that, but there was one kid in Boston. He wasn't a kid; he was a grown man who basically killed himself. He OD'd on heroin because, it's really destructive stuff, man. And the church, evangelical Protestant or otherwise, man, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's this haven. I mean, we ran into that situation where we had the guy on the fucking sex registry.
I know.
And he kept coming around, and I'm like, and we were like, yo, you know, like,
I know.
we will meet with you somewhere else, but not around all these kids, man.
Right.
And then he started following people around because I wasn't around. And then I jumped out of the car and put the screws to the guy. And then the cool, it wasn't the cool church, it was the...
Talk to him. Put the screws to it. To me, sounds like you beat him up. You
No, I didn't touch him.
You just told him, you're not supposed to be here.
I just told him to get the fuck out of there and not be around anymore. He's like, you're making me uncomfortable.
That's the point. We've already asked you not to be here.
And then all the old, and then there was a group of older, like there's an older generation, like boomer generation type church. And I don't, no disrespect to older people, because I'm not one of these people that says, oh, fuck you, boomer. Like, they have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
But they harbored
that wisdom.
They harbored this guy. They harbored him. And they didn't do anything until he got caught in a library back somewhere with some kids.
Right.
Some little girl.
Right.
I'm like, and they didn't even tell the parents. Like, they didn't even tell the parents, this dude is da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, somebody else got a divorce. They had an entire fucking meeting about it.
Right.
But the fucking child molester, you just let the child molester go in there and run roughshod around your kids. You didn't even tell the fucking parents.
That's messed up. I didn't even realize that.
You evil motherfucker. But see, there it is. It's like, oh, divorce. We're gonna hold a meeting. She had a divorce. We can't do that. But then the fucking child molester, let's protect him. Like,
priorities.
It's crazy. These people are crazy, man. These are really, really crazy people.
Well, you know what? Really? When you look at the divorce situation and you look at the child molester, in both situations they were protecting the abuser.
Of course.
That's so crazy.
Of course. And that's where I'll say, okay, something else is going on. Like, something else is going on there. But, you know, that's between you and Allah. But good Lord. Man.
Nice. Well, I mean, I think that this song, I think they did really good. They had so many people in it, it seemed like a choir. And some of the ways that they were singing sounded very choir-like.
Yeah. That's a good catch.
I thought kind of went opposite of, you know, while they were talking about the church and stuff like that. So I thought that was good. I loved that the girl with the red hair, I'm not sure what her name is, but I really liked her singing. And I thought the message was important. You can't go on hiding yourself behind old-fashioned fairy tales and keep washing your hands in innocence. Mm-hmm. Like, those words, they're good, you know? There's been a lot that's happened to people over the years because of the church. There's been a lot of good that the church has done. There's a lot of bad, too. And so, you know, we're Christians, and we're not going to pretend the bad didn't happen, because that doesn't make it go away. That just deepens the hurt in the people that have been hurt. So if you've been hurt by a church, or people that went by the name of Christ, whether they were Christians, or I think Jehovah's Witnesses say that they're Christians as well, right?
Yeah.
Catholics call themselves Christians. There's Mormons. There's a lot of people running around calling themselves Christians, but a Christian is someone who follows the ways of Christ, and they represent and show what Christ is like. And Christ would never do that to the children. Never do those things. So we apologize to you on behalf of Christians everywhere if you've been hurt by anyone in the church, because, you know, that's wrong. I mean, we've had our fair share of situations too in our time with the church, but I think that, you know, we've always said it, that Christians are not perfect people. I mean, we're all sinners, and that's kind of how we get that's how we get into the crew, is recognizing that we needed help too. So we're not excusing their behavior at all by any means, but, you know, it's not okay, and it's not acceptable. And so we're sorry if you've been a victim in any of those church situations.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to tell you to not throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's not my place to say.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is that, like we said, we've been in our fair share of jihads with the church, and Jesus has been my ultimate comfort in living and dying. I can say that. Right. But I'm telling you my personal experience.
Well,
There's been a lot of people shoved out the back doors of these organizations and these tombs known as churches that
Yikes.
have had different experiences. So I'm not even going to tell you not to toss the baby with the bathwater. I'm just going to say we're sorry, full stop.
Yeah.
And I'll say for me in my life and Sori in her life is that Jesus has been the only faithful constant. Put it that way.
Well, I think that, like when there's a leader and the leader's kind of like, and then the followers are like bad too, then it's like, well, the whole thing is terrible. But when you look at Christianity and you look at the example of Christ, he wasn't like that. And that would, I mean, he was upset at people for taking money from widows. You know what I mean? Never mind molesting children or abusing women.
He said those people will be punished most severely.
Right.
People
and that's just taking their money.
Yeah, people who prey on vulnerable
widows
people.
and stuff. Yeah, so it's like, that's kind of my thing is I say to myself, do their actions match the actions of the leader of this movement? And it's always no. Like when they're hiding abusers or they're protecting abusers or they're going after women or whatever, like none of those things reflect the heart of Jesus. And so then I say to myself, okay, so they're a flawed person and I can still have Jesus without having that sick way of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
The other thing that I noticed about this song is it was all like young people that were, I mean, I know that this is an older song, so they're not this age anymore, but when they did this song, they were all like, they all looked younger than us even. So it kind of, I don't know, like I kind of felt like this hope for like the next generation or like the young people of our generation that, like each generation that goes, like we believe that the world is going to get better and better. So eventually there's going to be a generation that's going to, and the name of the song, Cry for the Moon.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually people are going to be like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But the world that Jesus is talking about, I think I could jump in creating that and helping create that world. And I think that that's where the future is going. But this whole thing needs to die, man. Period. These people are crazy.
Yep.
And I have a certain type of mentality. I'm a certain type of way, and so I didn't get caught up in all the silly bullshit that people were trying to suck us into. Like I stayed completely quiet about shit because I didn't want anything to do with any of those people. And so
I mean, definitely neutralized the situation. Not neutralized it, but like took the stress out of the situation much quicker.
Yeah.
Doing that. But
and I didn't want you going through all that shit either. So
yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't have that type of foresight to know how people are going to respond and to know how their friends.
It was very difficult. Yeah.
How their friends are going to be and all the rest. A lot of people don't understand that.
No.
People tend to be very, very naive in this stuff.
Sometimes I look at you and I see you as my friend, my husband, my whatever. Like there's all these different roles that you are in my life. But in that situation, like you were such a protector and like a very, very close, I don't know, protective friend that foresaw what was going to be coming and tried to, neutralize as much chaos as you could. And I think that you did a damn good job. And I'm very happy that I had you at that point in my life because I might be dead right now.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm going to give this song a 9.8. 9.8 for me. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's a good message. I give it a 9.9. There you go. Much love to everybody. Keep your head up. And fuck those people. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.